All right. Next is academic language, and uh, some students struggle with this. We just need to look at it at a very basic level and identify the language functions, which are simple. For your lesson, what are the key words that you're asking students to do here? Uh, Analyze, explain, interpret. What is that key function of the language that you're addressing in this lesson? Look back at your objective. And in the objective, there should be that key word. Students will interpret data, or students will be able to analyze information from multiple sources, or uh, check that objective out and look for that word. And that is a good source. That's probably the best way to identify that language function. And once you've identified it and said, yes, my students are going to interpret, well, then identify where are they going to interpret. What are you going to do in the lesson that's going to help them understand that they are interpreting? Um, Vocabulary is relatively simple, straightforward. There are science vocabulary students need to know. So in your lesson, what are those words? Uh, Syntax and discourse. Is there any additional pieces of syntax or the symbols of science, things like formulas or graphs or charts? Or is there additional discourse or oral and written forms of writing science that students are going to be doing, or is necessary for students to learn in the lesson that you're presenting? And again, what are those language supports? You've identified these things that students are going to be required to do or understand for your lesson. So what is it in your lesson that you're specifically doing to get them there, to get them to understand those pieces? Um, be very intentional. Okay, academic development, again, here's the section in the form. It goes a little more depth into what I've said. Okay, and then the last piece of task one is the diverse learner. Diverse learners. Okay, first of all, you look at this page, do not freak out. Just pick one of these areas. Go back to your context for learning. Did you, in your context for learning, identify an IEP? Then you already have a student that you can address as a diverse learner. Did you have a 504 plan? Any of those things? If no one fits into one of those categories, let's say you don't have gifted students, you don't have an IEP or a 504 plan, then you will most likely have some learning needs, some kinds of challenges that your field experience teacher can identify for you. No 504, no ELLs, or no gifted students. It's very rare for you to have a classroom that doesn't have anything in there along those lines, but certainly not impossible. But even in a classroom that doesn't have those identified specific learners, you're still going to have some learners in there that have some challenges. And your field experience teacher could help you identify those. And we want you to look at these and specifically address those needs in your lesson plan. So think carefully about each of the sections as you make your lesson plan out. Remember, the goal of the assignment is for you to be thinking intentionally about these areas as you're making out your lesson. We don't want to have you writing lesson plans apart from your classroom. We want you to start to see that these things are connected. Okay, your lesson's not created in a vacuum, and then you take it to the classroom and hope that it works with your students. You want to design that lesson with the knowledge that you have of your students, and you have a much greater chance of being successful with your lesson, and your students are going to have a much greater chance of being successful understanding your lesson. So that's task one. Good luck, and make sure you contact your lead instructor with any questions you might have, and come to the workshop with questions to share with your facilitator as well as your peers. The workshop sessions will be designed such that you will get have the opportunity to get lots of feedback from your colleagues. All right, have a good day.